Believing in yourself is not an option. It is a necessity. It is the foundation of everything you build, your dreams, your goals, your relationships, and your inner peace. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? If you doubt your own ability, how do you expect others to trust you? Today, we are not going to talk about how to feel confident, as if confidence is a gift that falls from the sky. Today, we talk about something more real and more powerful: how to force yourself to believe in yourself. Here is the truth: confidence does not come before action, it comes after action. It is not created by positive thinking, it is created by keeping promises to yourself. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you will stay in the same place your whole life, watching others move forward. They are scared too, but they move anyway. That is the key. Fear is not the problem. Your relationship with fear is the problem. Most people feel fear and see it as a signal to stop. Strong people feel fear and see it as a signal to grow. Let's be clear. If you wait until fear disappears, you already lost. The goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is to move with fear. The world does not reward those who feel confident. The world rewards those who do what must be done. Forcing yourself to believe in yourself means you stop depending on your emotions. Even when you doubt, even when you feel anxious, even when your mind says you can't, you keep going. Not because you feel like it, but because you decided to, out of self-respect and respect for your potential. Listen carefully. No one achieves something great without this moment. The moment where you feel not good enough, unready, where you compare yourself and attack yourself mentally. That moment is not punishment, it is the price of growth. Now here's the question that defines your life. Will you obey that voice or will you train it? Because if you don't train your mind, it becomes your enemy. Your mind wants comfort, excuses, and familiarity, even if familiarity is destroying you. That is why you must control it, not with violence, but with authority. Confidence is not built by saying, I am the best. Confidence is built by saying, I do what I said I would do. Self-esteem is a result. Self-confidence is a result, and results come from repeated action. If today you don't trust yourself, don't insult yourself or give up, just understand this. You lack proof, and proof is created by action. You don't think evidence, you do evidence. From today, stop asking for confidence and start demanding discipline. Every time you keep a small promise, your brain records one message: I can trust myself. And when you trust yourself, confidence appears. Accept this: if you want to level up, your doubts will not disappear before you start. They disappear during the process. Doubt is like fog, it clears while you walk. You don't need to feel powerful to act, you only need to act like someone who respects himself. Some people don't have talent, but they push forward. Some are not the smartest, but they persist. Some are not the best, but they don't quit. And that is why they win. They force themselves. Forcing yourself to believe in yourself starts with this: stop negotiating with your discipline. People who negotiate with discipline always lose. Today, yes; tomorrow, no. Doing something only when you feel like it is a perfect recipe for mediocrity. From today, your word to yourself matters, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it feels heavy, even when progress is slow. Second, win one battle a day, just one, not 20. One workout, one delayed call, one task you are avoiding, 10 minutes of focus, one hard action, because mindset is trained the same way as the body, through repetition, and every repetition builds you. Third, stop looking for validation. Validation is an addiction. It makes you dependent and fragile. Strong people validate themselves by keeping promises. When you keep your word to yourself, you don't need applause, because your dignity applauds you from inside. Fourth, use doubt as fuel. When the thought, I can't, appears, don't collapse. Ask this question: what would I need to do to be able to? That question removes drama and puts you back in control. Doubt says, I am not enough. A strong person asks, what do I need to learn? And then grows. Fifth, build your identity, because the real problem is not what you do, it is who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who quits, you will quit. If you see yourself as someone who follows through, you will follow through. Start talking to yourself like a leader. Don't talk to yourself like a victim, a failure, or a weak person. Talk to yourself like someone in progress who does not stop. And hear this clearly: no one is coming to give you confidence. No one is coming to believe in you for you. No one is coming to rescue your self-esteem. That is not tragedy, that is power, because it means it depends on you. And if it depends on you, you can change it today, not tomorrow, today. Confidence is not a magical feeling, it is a silent discipline. It is getting up when you don't want to, doing the work when no one is watching, moving forward when everything in you wants to stop. When you repeat this, your mind changes. Your character changes, your energy changes, your presence changes, because you stop being someone who waits and become someone who executes. And when you execute, life treats you differently, not because it is fair, but because you respond differently. You make better decisions, set boundaries, stay focused, don't sell yourself cheap, don't betray yourself, and that is believing in yourself. So do this from today. Choose one thing you have been avoiding and do it. 1. When you finish, don't ignore it, don't minimize it, record it, because that is proof and you need proof. Tomorrow another, the next day another, next week another, and one day you will wake up and realize you no longer ask if you can, because you are already doing it. Force yourself to believe in yourself, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Life does not reward the one who dreams the most, it rewards the one who respects himself enough to act. You can do it, not because you feel it, but because you decide it. Understanding is not enough. You must apply it like a law. Most people don't fail because of lack of talent. They fail because of lack of belief in themselves, and that lack of belief is trained. It is trained every time you promise something and don't do it, every time you say, tomorrow I'll start, every time you convince yourself it's not the right moment. That is how a weak identity is built. And if doubt can be trained, confidence can be trained too. Believing in yourself is not saying nice words in the mirror, it is proving with actions that you are someone who keeps promises. Confidence does not fall from the sky, it is manufactured, built through repetition, small wins, and uncomfortable decisions. So make it practical. First, stop asking your mind for permission. Your mind looks for safety, asks for guarantees, exaggerates risks. If you wait for your mind to feel ready, you will never move. From today, you don't negotiate with doubt. Doubt appears and you act anyway. Because you are not what you feel, you are what you do. Second, self-confidence is born from competence. Want to believe more in yourself? Become stronger, more capable, more prepared, more disciplined. The problem is that many people want confidence without building skill. They want security without training. They want results without process. And that is not how life works. Your mind believes when it sees evidence, so give it evidence every day. You don't need a huge leap. You need daily proof that you are serious with yourself. One small but real action, something that says, I follow through. When you repeat this, your identity changes. Third, cut silent self-betrayal. There is something that destroys confidence faster than any failure, promising yourself things and not doing them. Every time you break your word to yourself, you teach your mind a lesson. I cannot trust myself. And that lesson becomes your way of living. That is why in the beginning you should not set huge goals. Set inevitable goals. Goals you can complete even when you are tired, even when you don't feel like it. Because right now you are not chasing results. You are training an identity. Start with this. One small but sacred promise. Today I do 20 minutes. Today I move one page forward. Today I make that call. Today I finish one task. Today I train even if it is basic. And you do it without drama, without excuses, without negotiation. Fourth, change your internal dialogue. Most people talk to themselves like an enemy. They insult themselves, shame themselves, replay mistakes, compare themselves, label themselves, and then wonder why they have no confidence. Your mind is like a soldier. It follows orders. If you repeat, I can't, it will obey. If you repeat, I always fail, it will prove it. If you repeat, I am not enough, it will act as if it is true. Let me be clear. The language you use with yourself determines the level of your life. I have seen intelligent, capable, talented people sabotage themselves daily just by the way they talk to themselves. That is why change begins there, not with fantasy phrases or empty affirmations, but with firm, realistic, action-based language. When you change your words, you change the direction of your mind. Every time you say, I can't, you train your brain to quit. Instead, when you say, I don't master this yet, but I will train it, you activate a growth mindset. You stop labeling yourself as incapable and start seeing yourself as someone in progress. I have learned that success is not talent. It is a trainable skill, and every training starts with the right way of speaking to yourself. When you say, I am a mess, you don't just describe yourself, you sentence yourself. Replace that language with words that return control to you. Say, today I organize myself and complete the basics. That sentence is powerful because it brings you to the present and gives you a clear task. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Doing the basics again and again builds character and self-worth. The same happens when you expect failure. Saying, "This will probably go wrong," is a prophecy your mind works to fulfill. But when you say, "I will do it anyway and adjust as I go," you become adaptable. Progress comes from imperfect action, not perfect waiting. Act first, correct later. That is one of the keys to high performance. Now let's talk about fear, because fear is misunderstood by most people. Fear is not a signal of weakness, it is a signal of importance. When fear appears, it is not telling you to stop, it is telling you there is growth here. Every meaningful advance in your life will come with fear. The difference is how you interpret it. Truly confident people are not the ones who feel no fear, they are the ones who do not kneel before it. Every time you act despite fear, your mind learns a deep truth: I am bigger than this. That truth is not learned by reading or listening, it is learned by acting. Each experience becomes internal evidence of your strength. Over time, that evidence changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as fragile and start seeing yourself as capable of facing discomfort. Fear stops paralyzing you and starts guiding you. It becomes a compass pointing to your next level. That is where you must go, even if your hands shake. Remember this as a personal law: a well-directed mind becomes powerful. Direct your language, interpret fear correctly, and act with firmness. You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. You need to move forward to prove to yourself that you can. When you do that consistently, you become unstoppable. Not because you never fall, but because you always get back up. Fifth, use fear as a signal, not a break. Fear does not mean stop. Fear means this matters. This is where growth is. Confident people are not the ones who feel no fear. They are the ones who do not kneel before it. Every time you act with fear, your mind learns a new truth. I am bigger than this, and that truth accumulates. A presentation, a difficult conversation, setting a boundary, facing rejection, making a decision. Every time you dare, you become stronger. Sixth, stop seeking approval. When you look for approval, you hand over control. Your emotional state depends on what others say. If they applaud you, you inflate. If they criticize you, you break. A person who believes in himself does not live on applause. He lives by principles. This does not mean you ignore feedback. It means you don't define yourself by it. Here is an uncomfortable truth. Many people don't want to see you grow, not because they hate you, but because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. That is why when you level up, some mock you, some minimize you, some disappear, and you cannot let that stop you, because your life is not a debate, it is a construction. Seventh, repeat the process until it becomes identity. Real confidence is not a moment of inspiration, it is a standard. It becomes a standard when you do the right thing so many times that you no longer question it, when you train your word, when you become consistent, when discipline becomes normal. One day, without noticing, something changes. You stop asking for permission, you stop doubting so much, you stop needing validation. You begin to act calmly, not because life is easy, but because you are firmer. That is believing in yourself. Being someone who respects himself, keeps his word, holds himself accountable, trains himself, and does not abandon himself. Listen carefully now. You don't need to feel unstoppable. You need to feel responsible. Because confidence does not come from thinking I am invincible. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you respond. If you fall, you get up. If you make a mistake, you adjust. If you feel fear, you act anyway. That is power. From today, you will train it with one simple rule. Do something every day that your weaker self would avoid. Something small but brave, because that small repeated act becomes character, and character becomes destiny. The world does not need you to feel ready, it needs you to be serious. And you don't need more confidence, you need more evidence that you are someone who follows through. So today, choose one action. One, the one you have delayed the most. The one that makes you uncomfortable, the one that will make you feel proud when you finish. Do it. When you finish, don't celebrate with emotion. Record it as identity. I am the type of person who follows through. I am the type of person who acts. I am the type of person who trains himself. I am the type of person who believes in himself because he proves it. Tomorrow, do it again. Doubt, when used correctly, is a signal not that you are weak, but that you are about to grow. Doubt appears when you leave what is familiar. When you step into ground your mind does not yet control. Most people make the mistake of interpreting doubt as I can't, when it really means I have not trained enough yet. Confidence does not come first, it comes after. People think confident individuals are born that way, like a gift. No. The difference is that they did what others did not. They proved to themselves again and again that they could, even with shaking hands, even with fear, even without feeling ready. Here is a truth most people don't want to accept. Your mind does not respect your dreams. Your mind respects your actions. You can repeat motivational phrases all day, but if you keep breaking promises to yourself, your mind learns one thing: don't trust him. That is how self-sabotage begins, not because you are bad, but because your brain is logical. If you promise and don't deliver, it loses faith in you. So if you want to force yourself to believe in yourself, don't start with big promises. Start with evidence. Self-belief is built like a muscle, with weight, resistance, repetition, and discomfort. And here is something that may hurt but will free you. You don't lack motivation, you lack a strong identity, an identity that says, I am someone who follows through. Because when you become someone who follows through, even in small things, a powerful change happens. You stop negotiating with yourself. You no longer live in debate, you simply do what must be done. And with every action, your confidence grows like a bank account, deposit after deposit. Most people want confidence in order to act. Winners act in order to build confidence. That is the difference. If today you don't believe in yourself, it's not because you are incapable, it's because you have collected too much evidence against yourself. Moments when you promised and broke it, moments when you were about to act and quit, moments when you knew what to do and chose comfort instead. But here is the good news. If confidence is destroyed by actions, it is also rebuilt by actions. Today, you will do something small but sacred. One minimum promise that you can keep no matter what. Something ridiculously simple, something that does not depend on your mood, something you do no matter what. Because you are not building a habit, you are building self-respect. 10 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of reading, writing one page, making that call, organizing your space, finishing one pending task. It doesn't matter what it is, only one thing matters: that you keep it. Tomorrow you repeat it, the next day you repeat it, and one day your mind changes its voice. Before it said, you are not enough. Later it will say, be careful, this person follows through. And when your mind starts to respect you, the world changes too. Not because of arrogance, but because of presence, stability, and quiet confidence. Believing in yourself is not feeling good. Believing in yourself is not betraying yourself. It is showing up even when there is no applause. It is moving forward even when no one is watching. It is continuing even when your mind asks, why bother? When those days come, don't argue with your mind. Give it an order. I am not here to feel, I am here to follow through. Because real self-worth is not built with words, it is built with character. And character is trained by doing what is difficult when no one is forcing you. Many people spend their lives waiting for an external sign to act. They wait for the perfect moment, the right approval, absolute certainty. I have learned that those signs almost never come. Results appear when you decide to become the sign yourself, when you stop asking for permission and take full responsibility for your growth. The moment you decide to believe in yourself, even when it is uncomfortable, something changes inside you, not because doubt disappears, but because you choose to move forward anyway. Believing in yourself is not an emotional act. It is a rational decision. It is understanding that no one will wake up every morning to chase your dreams for you. No one will carry your fears, your frustrations, or your unfinished goals. That responsibility is yours, and the sooner you accept it, the sooner you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. Self-discipline begins when you tell yourself the truth. Your life improves when you decide to stop betraying yourself. Every day you keep your word, even in small things, you send a powerful message to your mind. I can trust myself. And that trust is not built with nice words. It is built with repeated actions. When you do what you promise, when you finish what you start, when you act even without motivation, you develop an inner strength that no one can take from you. That is the birth of a different kind of power, a silent power. Not arrogance, not superiority, stability. Knowing that no matter what happens, you respond. When you trust yourself, the future stops being a threat and becomes a manageable challenge. You no longer need to control everything because you know you can adapt, learn, and keep going. I have seen many people transform their lives when they stop chasing external motivation and start building internal character. Character is formed when you choose what is right, even when no one is watching, when you do what is hard out of respect for yourself. That is the foundation of real self-esteem. Knowing you don't abandon yourself when things get uncomfortable. Believing in yourself means not running away from responsibility, but accepting it with determination. It means accepting that you can fail, but also that you can correct. You don't need to feel confident to act. You need to act to become confident. Every firm step, no matter how small, strengthens the image you have of yourself and brings you closer to the person you know you can become. Remember this as a personal law. No one will ever believe in you more than you believe in yourself. When you become someone who follows through, who acts, who does not betray himself, the world responds. That is real personal leadership. That is the path of growth. And that path begins today with one decision: believe in yourself and prove it every day.